So what we're discussing today is OPs. Now, in the context of OPs, we have two angles of discussion, which is number one, the SL position, right, squad leader, and what their responsibilities are, and then also the team tactics. So it's two parts of it. It's a lot of people think when it comes to OPs, it's just a matter of let the squad leader put it where he wants it, and then figure it out from there. And part of it is that but there is a bigger part to how to approach an OP when attacking a position. A lot of this stemmed from a discussion that we were having when we were attacking ruins by ourselves. When we were attacking ruins with me and 5 other easy guys, the rest of the team decided to pull back to train station, so it was just us pulling. I hear somebody's mic kind of going off a little bit. But so basically what we did is we positioned ourselves at a farther back point, like right here for the OP. And we had multiple lines of attack. We would have, myself going all the way to the back, all the way to that angle. Go ahead and reduce the size here a little bit. We would have the main like 2-man force heading straight up the street, and we had another heading towards this back road up that way. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see something that's really nice, which is multiple lanes of attack. Now, at a certain point, we started to lose a little bit of pressure here. So we would have some back pressure going this way. And at that point, there was a decision that I made as SL to pull back the OP to here. Now, once we were able to clean that position up and decide and push back in, we pulled this position to here, and the entire strategy with here completely changed our points of attack. So now they're expecting and are trying to defend this angle. They might be trying to defend this angle. They're definitely not going to try to defend this angle. They might take that as a flank to get to over here, because that's where they're kind of thinking we're coming from. But we are actually right over here attacking from the back. We're cutting them off from their own supplies. We take out the garrison, and we're creating multiple flanking patterns. Now, this is pretty advanced stuff, right? It's pretty basic for some of us, but for a lot of the games that you see, what do you see? Most of the time, it is this. OP, 1 guy, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys, 5 guys. Even the SL goes right into the same direction. And they get wiped out, OP dies, and we lose everything. We have to go all the way back to the Gary. And that is something that we have all seen time and time again. So that's what this discussion about is, how to prevent the loss of an OP and how to understand that like everything comes off of that OP. So one thing as an SL to understand is that we as SLs never want to place an OP here. We don't want to place it here. We don't want to place it here, because it limits our ability for lanes of attack, right? We wouldn't want to place it here. So basically, all we would have as attacking points is that. We would have that. We would have that. Or we might have that. But that's pretty unlikely that people are going to take that. And here, same thing. We have that. And if our same attack dies that we were just discussing, everybody going in that same one row, and it dies and we lose it, where do we end up back at? We end up back at wherever the mercy of the garrison might be, and we don't even know if it's red. It might be all the way back here. It might be all the way back here. In that situation that I mentioned, everybody fell back to train station on Germans, and they were just not even close by. We were maybe 400 meters away from the nearest Gary. So, as an SL, you always want to place it a little bit further away than where the attack is actually happening. Because good players know to follow the ant trail back to where the OP is. But if it's far enough back, you have enough options to escape so that if you do run into a situation where where they are really starting to push pretty hard and they're really making it to right here and you know they could be coming around this corner and blocking off your OP, you can start to push it back and maybe come all the way back around and set back up here for a different attack. They might get too comfortable. The whole point is keeping your team alive as an SL. As a squad member, your main objective again, OP, your main objective is to attack this way with 2 guys, and maybe you verbalize it, maybe you don't, maybe you see that there's 2 guys already attacking directly from, but then to start taking those alternative paths. And it might look like this, it might look like this, and it might even look like a total back flank. And obviously, you know, the mirror on this side as well. And that's where, you know, it comes into the position of having an OP here. Your responsibility is to understand that, yes, this is the direction of least resistance to point. But there's an opportunity for an attack here, an attack here, and an attack here. And you need to look at your map constantly to analyze what are the rest of your team members doing and how can I contribute to the effort in the best. Because if you just stack on top of each other and you all get wiped, they could very easily start to make a push on your OP. So that is how to push off of an OP. And that's usually how OPs are going to be used. Now, the 2 questions that usually come up is, when do we move the OP, right? We're here, we're having a lot of success on those attack paths. At what point do we move the OP from this position to maybe a more opportunistic position like up here? Or maybe, you know, somewhere inside this little building collection, like maybe in here. And realistically, this is a very, very hard judgment call. And the way to think about it is, how close are your enemies? Now, if your enemies are within this distance of less than half a square, a quarter square, it's really never going to be worth it to have that OP there. Almost never. Because one quick kill, and if your other teammates are doing exactly what they're supposed to be, which is, you know, maybe they're going this direction, they're popping down here, and maybe they get a quick grenade kill with 2 or 3 guys, they grab your OP, and you know you're back to square one trying to find your Gary. So moving the OP should be an extremely slow process, and it should be always a tactical decision based on your location of where an attack pattern works best on this point. It's basically a closer Gary that can't get locked out as easily. Now, that's how we move it up. How do we move it back? When do we decide that it's time to move it back? And we touched on a little bit in the earlier discussion, which is if they start making a solid push down this road, you need to be aware and listen to your teammates, knowing that they're coming from this direction, that it's a hard push, and that you need to start to think about, okay, I might need to go back around and plant it back here. Like, this might be a good position, or I might need to take a completely different angle because they're all going to be focused in this direction because you're still going to have teammates alive. Maybe I come back around here and investigate. And that's how you decide to pull back. That's the initial conversation about it. I like always opening it up to questions, answers, tips, things I've missed. Who would like to chime in first? $12? You've always got something good.
I don't hear you, I think. Well,
Yeah, 12, your mic's broke.
Oh, thank you. Wait, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So yeah, it's Teflon covered basically every single important aspect of it. But as Teflon was saying, and this is really important, I know, you know, for us guys that play a lot together, we all know their deal with this. But as Teflon was saying about the ant trail, like, what, like once you start killing people from a general direction, you know, you understand what's coming. and say, like 2 or 3 of us die and we're out like in an open field or attacking a point, we automatically know that, hey, if these guys are good players, and this is more so in like a competitive sense of like an 18v18 or King of the Hill type of thing. When you guys spawn, the first thing you guys should be doing is looking for the pursuit of the OP. You know they're coming. You know which direction they're going to come, and that gives me as an SO an opportunity to run further back and place it again, so that then therefore like we can go ahead and do a better counterattack. Because if you keep on coming face on, it's only a matter of time before the OP gets hot, and then he gets camped. But other than that, that's really all I have to say about it, and that's more of just like a kind of a comp thing.
Yeah, following that ant trail is huge. If you're defending ruins, understanding that the attack is coming from this direction, and you're trying to defend it, the whole idea applies in the opposite direction out of the defense. So being able to place that OP out of defense. So say you're defending ruins now, being able to place an OP here, and then moving it up to here and starting to kind of come back around them and flanking their own attack, it allows you to give enough space. And I think that's a big takeaway. Don't put your OP too close to where the battle is happening, because even though you think you're going to get faster into the battle, it's easier for it to wipe out. So, anybody else? Anybody else got any input? Cool. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, I'd just say if you really want to nerd out on Squad Leader and you're looking for more tips, there's also an hour-and-a-half long walkthrough by Gabatron Gaming. It's like he's kind of dry and it's an hour and a half, but if you're just sitting around, it's kind of fun to watch. More squad leading in general, but
Yeah, there's a ton of like really good stuff out there. And this is actually the same exact attack point that I was just describing. So if you come back to my stream, because I just had to switch it, but this is the exact same attack position that we were just talking about. You guys believe I'm already here? And it's a lot more understandable when we're actually playing on the map, so you can see the same kind of drawings of attacks, right? And we have a lot more options to be able to push down this main road. So we can obviously go ahead and see what that attack would look like. And we also have the top attack that goes all the way around.